On this edition of Gameball College Kickoff, we're going to recap the top four matchups that happened in college football, as well as there's four surprising teams that are ranked in the top 25. Do we buy or do we sell, including Kentucky, 4-0? Really? We want to talk about that as well as give you the top four matchups heading into this Saturday in college football. Stick around, it's going down right here. Gameball College Kickoff begins now.
What's happening, everyone?
Welcome to Gameball College Kickoff where the football season never ends. I'm Marcus Jenkins.
It's your boy, Michael Riley.
And of course, I'm holding it down for Mr. Luke Harden, who is not with us. Having, some cool things going on in the family. So definitely hope he's enjoying himself. Of course, like we always do, we'll hold it down for you, just like you guys held it down for me when I wasn't present. So, hey, Luke, shout out to you.
And we will be reviewing his picks as well.
Absolutely. We're going to, of course, jump into the recap version of this episode, starting with number 2, Texas A&M, and number 1, Alabama. This will be business as usual for the Crimson Tide as they would bowl past the Aggies by a score of 45-23. Wisconsin, number 18, would also defeat Iowa on the road, a big win for them by a score of 28-17. Now, the first of two that we're actually going to break down for you, Mike, we're going to start with Kansas State and West Virginia. Kansas State, this game we both kind of predicted maybe a little bit closer. Apparently that was not the case as they would be steamrolled 35-6 by the Mountaineers at home. What happened to the Wildcats in this game?
Well, they got outplayed and outcoached, and they didn't do all three phases of the football to execute. Offense, defense, and special teams, that's what helps you win games. But it was the opposite. West Virginia did that against Kansas State. Their defense looked good, only gave up 6 points. That's unheard of for West Virginia. And the offense, we're going to know they're going to put up points, but they put up 35 points against Kansas State. And Will Greer looks like the real deal here. He's putting up touchdown passes each game, like 4 to 5 a game. That's like Heisman numbers, and more likely at the end of the season, if he continues to progress like that, he's going to be in New York for the finalists for the Heisman Trophy. And for Kansas State, it's been kind of a rough year for him. Not kind of, it's not a good word. I'm going to say it's been a rough year for him. Offensively, they can't get really going. Defensively, this is not K-State normal defense because they don't give up big plays like that. They keep everything in front of them and make them work for their touchdowns and force field goals. But they're giving up a lot of touchdowns, especially long bombs that you rarely hear of K-State doing. I'm just like, what's going on with this Kansas State defense? They're giving up big plays. They're getting up big chunks on first down. And they're also getting up long plays for touchdowns. We saw that and against Mississippi State when they got ran all over them. And now we're seeing it against West Virginia. They were just slinging it left and right, just giving up big plays after big plays. Will would just sit in the pocket. He could call up his girlfriend, want to be like, hey, make sure you got that latte ready to make dinner tonight. Dimer, touchdown. 90-some, 50-some yard bomb. It's just like they look lost in the secondary. They have to go back to the fundamentals where what made them so great, especially defensive side. They have to get pressure up the middle. They're not doing that. And also their linebackers is not tackling well in space. So those are the issues going on for Kansas State. But if Bill Snyder can find a way to fix those things and play better football, then they'll get back into it. But right now, it looks atrocious, especially the game against Mississippi State and now West Virginia. Whew, If there's another game like this could be a long season for Kansas State. As for West Virginia, they've been doing what they're doing, blowing out people, executing their plays well, and their defense has been the surprise. Their defense has been improved, like I was saying before the beginning of the season, is how concerned are you for the West Virginia's defense? But now they're balling out, and let's see if they can do it against Texas Tech coming into town this weekend.
All right, a big test for West Virginia. This would have been a stronger test, obviously, for the Mountaineers. That proved to not be the case. We're going to move ahead with the second breakdown, Mike. That is TCU and Texas. Texas would upset TCU by a score of 31-16. Texas, a huge win at home for them. Break down this matchup. How were the Longhorns able to successfully?
I did not expect this at all. I mean, I thought TCU was the better team. They was going to go on the road and get the win after their loss against Ohio State, but they got smacked by Texas Tech. I'm just like, this is Gary Patterson defense today. What is going on? They're giving a big plays. Johnson had over 20 yards of receptions, the receivers, and they just wasn't getting pressure on the quarterback, Ellinger, whatever his name is for Texas. I'm just like, where is the TCU defense that was just relentless? Now, this loss costs their chances of going to the college football playoff because going to the conference now you're 0-1. Overall, you have 2 losses on your resume, and now this makes it more difficult for TCU to be representing the college football playoffs. So right now, Oklahoma is in the driver's seat, but for TCU to get better, they have to go back to the drawing board, especially on defense. They have to tackle well in space and not give up big plays. Offensively, Texas defense just straight shut them down, even though they gave us 17 points. It wasn't an explosive place like we saw the week before in the Ohio State game. So Texas was able to figure out, stop the long running plays and force TCU to be a one-dimensional offense. Offensively, they have to get better, especially in the passing game. The running game is there, but if the running game is not going to be there, you have to be consistent in the passing game. You got to go your progressions and go through your reads and make easy completions and keep the chains moving and keep the defense honest. And that's what not happened for TCU's offense. It's just they looked lost and there was a need making defense give up a lot of plays and they just played awful. It was atrocious. And for Texas, what they did, they went in and had a good game plan, executed to the way they did, and got a big win at home against a big time opponent, the Big 12 TCU. Can Texas go on the road and do that in Manhattan, Kansas State? We'll only find out. But right now, Texas seems like they started clicking, start get everything going after the season opening loss on the road in Maryland, due to not due but lost short points and all that. So if Texas can keep on clicking all that, they might be a dangerous team in the Big 12.
Second big win in a row for this second week for the Texas Longhorns, and moving forward as they get ready to jump into Big 12 play, as they continue the Big 12 play. But that's going to do it for our first segment. When we come back, speaking of Texas, they are one of top 25 teams. Do we buy or do we sell? The hype between these teams. Find out right here at Gameball Kickoff. We'll be turning in.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. What's happening, everyone?
Welcome back to Gameball Kickoff for the football season never ends. Now we're going to jump into the second segment, and that is buy or sell. We have 4 top 25 teams that should we be surprised at where they stand at this point in the college football season. Mike, we're going to start with the Kentucky Wildcats. They're currently ranked number 17, and they are starting off the season at a hot 4-0. Mike, do you buy the Wildcats?
I am actually buying the Kentucky Wildcats football program for once. I am buying. It took them a second to get the program where it's at. They went into Florida, which is a hard place to play, and get a win there. They went in Florida and smacked Florida around and got the win there. Then at home against Mississippi State, another tough opponent, and they smacked them around too. They ran wild all over them. They really need the passing game. Their running back was the passing game. I mean, he was just carrying it all over the place. He had about either 180 yards or 200 rushing yards on the ground with 4 touchdowns against a very talented Mississippi State defense. Wow, 28-7. I think that was the score at home. Man, I am definitely buying the Kentucky Wildcats. They're playing good defense. They run the ball effectively on offense and get us some easy completions and pass the game going, and special teams playing well. Will I pit them against Alabama? No, I'm not going that route. But in the East Division right now, Kentucky looks like they could possibly get Georgia run for their money. In the East Division, only time will tell as we go along through the season. They probably won't beat Georgia, but they can make some noise in this division and sneak up on some people if they're not on their A game. So far, I am buying Kentucky Wildcats 4-0 in the season. They done beat the top tier teams in the SEC, especially in the country. So right now, I am buying Kentucky 4-0.
Just quickly, I agree with you, and it's not the fact that they're winning; it's how they're winning those football games. We're all bearing witnesses right now. Kentucky football is possibly for real. Next team is number 25 Texas Tech. They are at 3-1. You buy or sell, Mike?
Well, they did get a big win on the road in Oklahoma State at Stillwater, but I paused to cause to where I am not buying Texas Tech right now. They got to show me week to week basis they can go out and get it done. Now, this is a true test on the road, another true test in Morgantown. West Virginia is playing some good ball right now, especially offensively. But would Texas Tech have the firepower to go toe to toe with West Virginia? We'll find out seeing this weekend the Big 12 matchup. But as of right now, I'm not buying Texas Tech because it's like a repeated pattern to where they get off to the good start, then they slow down, fall off the slump. So their biggest issues is defense. Do they have it figured out? It seems like they had it figured out against Oklahoma State. So can they continue that against West Virginia, who might be a Big 12 champion? We don't know. We'll have to see. Texas Tech has a big true test header on, especially on the road. So if they can go down and take down West Virginia, then I'm buying it. But right now, I'm pumping the brakes. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not sold on Texas Tech. I am selling it.
All right, number 25 Texas Tech 3-1. Selling Texas Tech as well. I have to agree. You actually touched on everything that I actually was going to allude to myself, so I agree with you as well on that one. Staying in the state of Texas, we're going to go with the Longhorns, who, of course, just came off a huge win against TCU over the weekend, and they're ranked number 17, and they are 3-1. Mike, do you buy or sell the Longhorns?
As of right now, I'm going to say the same thing I did Texas Tech. No, I am not buying the Texas Longhorns. They did get a big win against TCU. However, they would do on the road against against Kansas State, we'll find out soon. If they won their game against Maryland, which was very close, then I'll be like, okay, I'm starting buying into Texas, all that. But even though they 3-1, there's still some hiccups. There's still things got to be worked on, and I can't get on the bandwagon just yet. They got to show me more. They got to prove me more so they can do it day in, day out, week in and week out, to where they can get like wins against very good opponents. So we'll see about this weekend's game on the road. As right now, I can't buy into Texas. I gotta sell them too.
Really? I was going to say, well, the reason why I'm like, so with this Kansas State game, allow you to buy into them because the previous week they did beat USC, and then they come in and they beat TCU, of course, who's ranked in the top 25 as well. But they're just still not showing you just enough on a consistent basis.
Exactly. They gotta do it consistently. Now they probably get the win on the road against a depleted Kansas State team, but I'm saying like do it against West Virginia, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and so on, so on. So far, you did that twice. I need to see more because we all seen the same movie before. Is can't be fools go at times. So they have to show me more. They have to prove me wrong for me to buy into it.
All right. Sorry for the state of Texas, but Mike is selling both Texas Tech and Texas moving forward. And the final team who's actually been impressive as of late also has been BYU. You buy and sell.
I am buying BYU. I mean, they're playing some good ball right now. And that one loss that kind of hurt them. But overall, I am buying BYU. If you can go to Wisconsin, who was ranked the number 16 in the country at the time, not 16, 6th team in the country at the time, go there and beat down on them and get the win there, I am buying to it and had the crowd stunned. Everybody is starting to sleep on BYU game. Sleep on BYU. BYU's playing some good ball, and they'll catch you sleeping. They're 3-1 right now, ranked at number 22. They're playing some good ball. I mean, if BYU continues to play, they could win their conference and their division and possibly could get into a higher bowl game, but not in the college playoff. Let's just get that out the way. But as of right now, I am buying the BYU. I am drinking the Kool-Aid of the BYU Cougars. They're playing some good ball. Offensively, they're putting up points, taking time off the clock. That's what you want to do against very good teams. Run down the clock and put up points to force them to have to hurry. And that's what they did against Wisconsin. They forced them to hurry, and that's how they won. That's how they beat them. So if they continue to do this, you'd be surprised they might get a high bowl game to Fiesta or Orange Bowl, one of those games. But as of right now, I am buying the BYU at 3-1.
All right, number 20 BYU. Once again, 3-1. That actually concludes our second segment of Buy or Sell. When we jump back into it, we'll give you our top 4 matchups going into this weekend of college football, and of course, give you our predictions as well as Luke. Stay continue with us. Continue for the support. We'll be right back in just a moment. Gameball College Kickoff.
What's happening, everyone?
Welcome back to Gameball College Kickoff. We're going to jump into the third and final segment, and that, of course, would be the top 4 matchups for you guys to keep an eye out on going into this weekend of college football. We're going to start with number 18, Texas, taking on Kansas State. Mike, how would you break down this matchup?
Well, for Texas to get the win on the road, because we all know Manhattan, Kansas, Bill Family Snyder Stadium, Little Apple is a very tough place to play. It doesn't matter what the record says. They can have a winning record. They can have a losing record. It doesn't matter. It is a very tough place to play and get a win at for Texas. They can't overlook this Kansas State team that is very desperate. So they have to continue to do what they do on offense, get the running game going, and get their big Tarkin Johnson some more receptions as he did against TCU last week, and keep the chains moving and score touchdowns, not field goals, because if you want to get the road win, which they haven't done in a while, you have to score touchdowns against Kansas State to get win on there instead of field goals, because if you score field goals, you're going to lead Kansas State in the game and possibly lose it. So for Texas to get the win on the road in Manhattan, which they haven't done in a while, they have to run the ball effectively. They have to score points. And defense has to play good defense. The special teams is very critical because Kansas State is one of the best special teams in the country. Kickoff and punt returns, they'll catch you to sleep. So if Texas wants to win, they have to execute those phases. Now for Kansas State, they have to go back to the drawing board. And I'm not a big fan of the two quarterback system. They have to pick one quarterback and just roll the dice and just go with it. If not, you can switch them out, depending on the performance wise. But I'm not a fan of the two quarterback system. So for Kansas State, just pick one quarterback, just roll the dice, go with it. The running game has to get better. The offensive line has to block better the run game and be pass protection efficient as well. And the pass game has to be more consistent. Get your playmakers. They got playmakers on the receiver side. You have to get them going. And defense, you can't play this soft zone 2D coverage. You got to play man up in a dime or maybe some zone, play man coverage, and be physical with the receivers. Stop the run and get to the backfield and put pressure on the quarterback and force them to be uncomfortable in the pocket. That's been their problem. The last few games they played against tough opponents like Mississippi State and West Virginia, they weren't physical enough on defense. If they could be physical enough and play some bumper run coverage, some man, some zone 9, a 2D soft zone with a single high safety, then maybe they can force a lot of 3-and-outs and get the ball back to their offense. So it depends on that.
All right, number 18, Texas going into Manhattan, going off of a big win against TCU last weekend. Let's see if they can continue that momentum going into it's not a stadium. The second matchup, this one arguably the best matchup of the weekend by far. Number 4, Ohio State taking on number 9, Penn State. Mike, tell us about this matchup.
In College Station, Happy Valley, the lights are bright. The big game of the year. This game could decide which team will be representing the Big Ten in the college football playoff. More likely will win the Big Ten championship. So even though it's very early in the season, we're in week 5, this game is riding everything on the line. Both teams cannot afford to lose this game because whoever wins this game more likely will win the conference and be a representative of the Big Ten Conference in the 14 college playoff. For Ohio State, just keep doing what you're doing, playing good football offensively. And that Haskins kid, that quarterback, he is just throwing dimes with accuracy too. He has a big arm, man. He can fling it, but he is so accurate to where it causes fits for the secondary to try to intercept the ball and always look past him, and the receivers got it. I mean, he throws the ball so crisp and so clean. It's just like, I don't know what else you can say about it. He's a pure pocket passer. And I like his progressions, what he goes through to. He takes what the defense gives him, and he doesn't force mistakes, and he does not force turnovers. And if it's not there, he'll take off and run. He's not a runner, but he'll take off and run and get some yards or dump it off to a check down. That's why I like about a quarterback like him, because young quarterbacks do not do that. They tend to be in a rush, throw the double coverage, and more likely to be picked off. So for Haskins, I like his progression, the way he sees the field, and his IQ is phenomenal. He could be a potential Heisman finalist and could win if he can continue the ball like that. Now for defensive Ohio State, they're still clicking on all cylinders. Even though Nick Bosa is not going to be there, he's out with the injury indefinitely, but they still don't miss a beat. And this is why I like Ohio State defensive line. They have depth and they have speed, and they're never tired. They could just rotate players, situational plays, and all that. And their secondary is balling out their minds. It's just like, who can you throw it to? You can't throw it against these guys. Every time you think you had them, either knockdown or interception, pick back goes the other way, maybe for a touchdown. So this is why I like Ohio State. Urban Meyer is back now for his suspension, and they're going to be playing lights out now. If I'm the college football world, they need to look out for Ohio State. They could be very dangerous and potentially win it all. And for Penn State, you're at home. You have the home crowd. You have to take advantage of that. Offensively, how would they match up against Ohio State's defense with quickness and all that? They might be physical up front, but quickness beats that. Speed kills. And how the receivers will match up with the secondary of Ohio State, and how does Penn State's defense will be able to stop Ohio State's offense. I don't trust their defense to stop them, so they have to find a way to mix up blitzes and come up with exotic stuff, something they've never seen, some wrinkles, and keep the game close. And you cannot have mistakes, offense, defense, and special team. Because if you have one or two mistakes, that can cost you the game and cost you to get into the college football playoff. For Penn State, they have to execute all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams to win this game.
Big Ten bragging rights are on the line this weekend. Penn State, Ohio State. I cannot wait for this matchup. This is a heavyweight fight, like you mentioned. A lot is riding on this game, so I can't wait to see how this game turns out. We're going to jump into the third matchup, and that is number 7 Stanford taking on number 8 Notre Dame. Mike, what do you like about this?
The old classic Stanford Notre Dame rivalry matchup go back to years and years. It's a battle about both offenses running game and which defense is going to stop it. Now for Stanford, they found themselves in a hole against Oregon in Oregon last week and came off a nail biter win. And for Notre Dame, they finally switched quarterbacks. They went from Win Bush to the young quarterback, and the pass game is starting to get a lot better. It's starting to open up doors for receivers to make plays. I ain't got nothing against Win Bush, but he is not it in the pass game. He's not the quarterback for Notre Dame, and the other guy is. And just get the running game going, be consistent, and play good defense. I think that's a recipe to success if you want to be Stanford. Now, for Stanford, you can't afford slow starts. You can't afford to be down 28-7 or something like that, like they was against Oregon, and expect miracle to happen because you go on the run to the one team when you're down like that. Chances are they're going to finish you and put more points. So for Stanford, they have to execute better offensively and get Bryce Love going the running game, get him some touches, and defense, you have to play better against Notre Dame. Force the young quarterback to be one-dimensional. Force him to beat you and stop the run. If you can do that, Stanford can win this game.
And for Notre Dame, the fourth and final matchup, we already know Kentucky 4-0, looking to improve to potentially 5-0 when South Carolina will face them this Saturday. What do you like about this matchup with the Wildcats and the Gamecocks?
It's going to come down to who holds the ball last and who's going to make the least amount of mistakes. That's why I'm looking at this game. Kentucky's rugging game against South Carolina's defense. The passing game, it has to get better because you can't always rely on the running game to bail you out. At some point, you're going to have to put on the quarterback's hands to lead the way. And defensively, Kentucky, if you could shut down South Carolina's offense and force turnovers 3 and outs to get the ball back to your offense, you did your job. Now, for South Carolina, you have to stack the box. You have to stop the run and force Kentucky to be uncomfortable, force them to be a one-dimensional offense. If you can do that, you did your job. And for offensively, you got to put up points. You're going to go on a road in a very little hostile environment. They're 4-0. They're feeling confident. And you have to show them that we're mean business. We're for real. If you want to get this rolling, you have to play physical. You have to be disciplined. You can't have mistakes, offense and defense, especially penalty-wise. Because last game they played against Georgia, too many penalties, and they gave up a lot of points. So if they can minimize the points and minimize mistakes, South Carolina wins this game on the road.
All right, Kentucky once again looking to improve to 5-0 against South Carolina. And now to the final part of this podcast, and that is predictions, starting with Texas and Kansas State. Mike, who do you got?
For Luke's pick, I'm looking at when you text me. He is a diehard Wildcat fan. He loves his Wildcats, but unfortunately, he does not trust them with his life depended on. So Luke picks Texas over his favorite team, Kansas State, to win. And for me, I am going on the same boat. Texas will win on the road against Kansas State. And I feel like Kansas State doesn't have the firepower a little bit yet to go against Texas. They're still trying to find their identity. They're still going through their stages, and it's just going to be tough for K-State. So I say Texas win on the road 31-21 against Kansas State.
I side with both of you guys. Texas rolling off with two huge wins. Of course, namely we just talked about it, TCU. I just don't think Kansas State has enough against Texas right now. The momentum that the Longhorns have going into this game, I think it just be too much for the Longhorns.
And they got a momentum going after they stomped down USC and TCU. I expect them to continue that momentum, but I expect the K-State put up a fight, but I expect Texas to win at the end on a late touchdown. So that's why I say 31-21 Texas.
All right, second matchup, number 4, Ohio State, number 9, Penn State.
I'm going with Ohio State to win this one on the road in Happy Valley. Ohio State has too much in depth offense, but especially defense. That defensive line, who you going to guard? What they going to put at? What scheme is the defensive coordinator, Greg Schiano, is going to come up with to stop this Penn State offense? Saquon Barkley's not there anymore.
Yep.
And Trace McSorley, the quarterback's all you got. And I'm afraid that Penn State's going to put too much on him to where 1 or 2 critical turnovers will favor Ohio State, and they get the job done. So I want Ohio State to win the score of 40-28, 2-touchdown game. And for Luke, he picks Penn State at home to upset Ohio State. That's Luke's pick.
I'm going to have to go with this. I'm going to have to say I agree with Luke. My gut feeling says Penn State just because they know what's right on this game, too. You're at home. You're going against a rival in Ohio State. Of course, there's going to be a lot riding to the return of Urban Meyer. I just can't see the Nittany Lions allowing Ohio State and just the return of Urban Meyer. Not at home. Maybe if they were at Ohio State, I think I would have a different pick, but I like the Nittany Lions.
And the reason why I like Ohio State, I can't go against that defense, especially that defensive line and that secondary of Ohio State. I think that's what's going to hurt Penn State's offense is where they're going to move Ohio State. Are they going to move their big man on the outside and put their other guy on the inside, do some stunts, and have that linebacker come up and have a linebacker spy for the quarterback? It's just too many things that Ohio State can do to cause offensive problems. And they are accustomed to win in hostile environments. They won, even though it wasn't TCU, but it was still a hostile environment in Jerry Jones' world. And I believe they'll do that again on the road in Penn State and Happy Valley.
All right. The third matchup, number 7, Stanford, number 8, Notre Dame. What you got, Mike?
I was wrestling with this one, but I can't go get Stanford. I just can't. Stanford, even though they still got a lot of things to do, they could have lost the game against Oregon, but they found a way to get the win at the end by the hair of their chitty chin. I'm just trying to rhyme with the picks. I don't know what I'm saying, but I need to quit my day. Go back to my day job. I need to quit. I'm just playing. So I'm rolling with Stanford to win by a slaughter midget on the road. I feel like they will make more plays offensively and defense against Notre Dame's offensive defense and special teams to get the win. They will make a late touchdown. I'm going to say a close game, 28-21 Stanford. And Luke, he picks Notre Dame over Stanford to win.
That's tough. I want to say Notre Dame will get Stanford in this one. I think it's going to be close. I actually have this one. I know I didn't pick scores for the other couple games, but I think Notre Dame will find a way to squeeze this one out. I like 27-24. I think this will be a last minute decision. I think it will come down to a field goal for me in this one. South Carolina, Kentucky. Do you see the Wildcats improving to 5-0?
5-0. Choo-choo. I am riding on the train. 5-0 Kentucky will beat South Carolina at home. Kentucky is rolling with a huge momentum. They beat 2 good teams. And it's not easy. It's not easy going to Florida at the swamp, Gator Chomp land, and shut down that Gator Chomp. Just put a bullet into his head and say, you're done. That's what Kentucky did to Florida at the swamp. And they beat Mississippi State at home. The Bull thrown the Bulldogs at home 28-7. I was shocked. They played good defense. Their running game sufficient. My only issue with Kentucky is the pass game. They have to get that going because I'm afraid South Carolina might force Kentucky to be one-dimensional offense, but that head coach is having them playing good ball, and they're at home against a very good team. That game is going to be live. It's going to be lit. So for those reasons, I feel like Kentucky will make a few more plays than South Carolina to win this game. So I'm going to pick Kentucky to win against South Carolina, the score of 28-18.
All right. It's actually nice to see something with Kentucky, and it's not the basketball team for once. It's actually great to see that the football team is also on the up and up this season as well. I like them against South Carolina as well. I think they will go to 5-0. I'm going to say they will win by a score. I'll say 21-7. That'll be my pick for them.
And Luke also picks Kentucky to win over South Carolina. So unanimous decision. We all agree. Kentucky beats South Carolina.
5-0. All right, and that's going to do it for this episode of Gameball College Kickoff.
Social media. Facebook, you can follow us at Gameball College Kickoff / Gameball NFL Ed Zone. Email, send us some feedback, send us some fan letters, send us which game would you like to for us to talk about. Send us an email at gck.gnfle@gmail.com. Twitter, you can follow our official Twitter page at GCK_GNFLE. You can follow your boy at Gameball, that's all capitalized, _Mike, MYKE. You can also follow Luke on his Twitter at LukeHarnett2. And you can follow us on Instagram at GCK_GNFLE. Get your gear on our clothing website at tokendesigns.topeka.com/Gameball. That's TOKAN, token, not token. Designs.topeka.com/Gameball. Hit the like, subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button to our YouTube at gck.gnfletv. That is YouTube. gck.nflgtv. That's YouTube. Your social media?
Of course, you can find me on Facebook, Marcus Jovell ENT Jenkins. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Jovell ENT.
Also, you can follow Luke Harnett on Instagram and Facebook as Luke Harnett. Until next time, I'm Michael Riley.
I'm Marcus Young Jenkins.
This is Gameball College Kickoff, where the football season never ends. Peace. We are out.
Don't forget to look out for Gameball NFL End Zone this week as well.